Great. Let's call the meeting to order.
It's 5:59 p.m.
And do roll call. Roll call.
Amanda Houston,
Here.
Julia Kitely,
Here.
Tim O'Leary.
Here.
The student commissioner is open, and we know that Cherie Adkins and Jessica Hopkins Hubbard are not able to make it tonight. And I'm Library Director Corey Burkle.
Let's move to accept the consent calendar.
I move to accept the consent calendar.
I'll second.
You said no public comments.
No public comments tonight.
And then moving on to current library narratives.
And I'm very sorry, but there were no current library narratives this month. We'll do better next month.
Moving on to reports, Library Foundation report,
Library Foundation did not meet.
Library Director's report,
Library Director's report. Let me pull up my screen here. All right. Library use report, as you saw, was very low due to being closed for a week. So that will happen. And door count statistics, just a note about that real quick. So our door counter is with our front doors, and it's not something we can unbolt from the floor and move easily. So we have not done that. So there is it's an estimation at the moment. And then once we're able to get back in, we will start using the door counter again. Oh, Tim, this is for you. This was really fun to see. So I'm so glad you asked about these statistics. Isn't this fascinating? I had no idea that our e-magazines were that high. That was the one that really shocked me. So yeah, so print books. So this is from fiscal year 2024 to 2025. So I've got our print books. You actually asked at a really good time because I was working on the state library report anyway. So I had all of these numbers so I could just plug them in different places. So as you can see, ebooks is quite a bit less than our print books. And it's also quite a bit less than our e-audio books too. So that just continues, e-audio continues to grow. So does ebooks, but e-audio is growing exponentially. It is just.
What's the difference between e-audio and audiobooks?
Oh, that's a great question. So e-audio, what I mean by that are the items that you're downloading from Libby, from the Libby app and listening to that way. And then audiobooks would be the playaways or the CD books that are getting checked out in the library.
Oh, okay.
So as you can see, too, people vastly prefer to do the e-audio books. I would say those audiobook statistics are mostly for kids. That's most of what we're seeing, but we do still have playaways that are getting checked out upstairs as well. And that's a collection that is growing too. And people are, they do enjoy that as well. But I was really surprised by the difference in numbers for that. I just thought overall this was a really fascinating look at all of. I knew that our print magazines, that is actually a really low checkout.
Well, the selection has also decreased.
It has.
A lot, even across the whole system.
Yes, because there's also a lot of magazines that are only online now. So when you're looking at e-magazines on the Libby app, well, you can get
almost anything.
You can get almost anything. It's really pretty great. So yeah, it is, isn't it? Yeah.
Right there.
Well, and if you use it and you look at something that's a weekly or a monthly, it says, do you want to sign up to to tell you when the next one comes out? And it's like, oh wow.
I know. And then it's just like appears and it's like, it's ready for you. I really like that. Yeah, that's great. So I shared this with my staff as well, and they were definitely surprised by some of these numbers. So it was a fun comparison. Did you have any other questions about that?
No.
Okay. I'm actually going to share this with City Council, put it in our City Council graphic for the next library report too. So it's just really
showing usage is-
so interesting how library service changes and what people like to have physically and what they want on their device. It's really interesting.
So, in the breakdown, do people listen to more fiction or more nonfiction? Do you know any of that?
Oh,
stats?
I wish, but I do not
don't
have
have
those
that.
kinds of statistics. So I had like if we were talking just print books, I can absolutely tell you because of the item types of the books, what's checking out more, I can tell you that our highest checkouts come from the children's department, which is actually not common with every library, which I also think is really interesting. So like McMinnville checks out more adult books than they check out children's books.
Hmm.
And they're a similar size and not very far away. So I think
Right.
that's just really interesting.
Because usually you see little types coming out, and they've got like arms full.
Right. Well, when you're reading, when you've got kids and you're reading books at bedtime or other times a day, like you're going through so many of them. So yeah, that would be really interesting. But then when it comes to ebooks and e-audio, I don't have any of those kinds of stats. They're just all lumped
It's just
together.
not- okay.
Yeah, so that's why there were a few things like that where I was like, this would be really interesting, but I don't have the breakdown for the e portion of it that I do for the print. So I even pulled the e-magazine. So some of those numbers come from the CCRLS office. And when I saw the 10,364, I was like, what? So I got into Libby to my account myself, to the library account. And I was like, I'm just going to run these numbers myself. But I was like, well, that's what they are. So interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, I can read all those magazines. I would never admit that I read.
Right?
Because it's like, oh, I can read the latest Katie Williams story. I wouldn't do that normally, but it's like, well, it's right there.
Right. All right. So in the next picture, I have, I'm just going to skip ahead real quick because I've got the Carnegie Library to show you because they got new shelving in finally, or shelving panels. So the really old gross stuff right here, you can see in my before. And then this is our new paneling that went in this last week, and I'm very happy with it. One of the things that we're really excited about is that this kind of panel allows more light to get into the shelves as well. It's not quite as dark. So light always continues to be a problem in the Carnegie Library, which is understandable for a building that's pretty old. So we just continue to look at different ways we can make that better. And also this looks so much nicer. Jessica did get up the labels for the shelves too, because I was helping somebody yesterday and she hadn't used the library in a long time. And she's like, I'm just kind of confused about where everything is. And I looked around and there wasn't any shelving labels on it yet. And I was like, yeah, this is confusing. And then like an hour later, Jessica had the labels up. So she got those up right away. She was already working on it.
Speaking of light in the Carnegie section, is there any discussion about either changing or altering those lights up there, those big, humongous lights?
Yeah, I mean, it's something that we've changed things around not terribly long ago, but those big lights, the big bowl lights, we have to have electricians come. I feel like every couple of months. I mean, because something isn't working or the lights are flashing and it's not the bulbs themselves, it's the structure. So that probably will be something we change in the future. I have a couple of other things that we need to get finished first. One of them is you can see back here, there's the the blinds that are helping protect the books from the sun. This isn't very good. And we don't have one for over here. So, and if you're looking at the books that are on this shelf back here, they're very bleached out and the sun just breaks the books down really fast. So they look like they're 20 years older than they are. So it breaks down the spine and the paper and the whatever. So we do need to get something for that. So, all right, back to the rest of the report. All right. So the bathroom remodel project is it is moving forward. So it actually was able to be wrapped up into another project with the city. And I'm working with a person at engineering. I will say she's doing all the work. I'm working with her, but she's the one really working on it. And they're getting bids in for the project. And, it might even be able to start as early as January 2026. So we would be redoing our public restrooms that are downstairs. Obviously not the children's one that was done not very long ago, but the ones that were last done in 1984. So there's a lot that needs to get changed and fixed and redone. And so working on that. We'll also be looking at ADA requirements, which might mean that in the women's restroom, we only have one big stall instead, kind of looking at to see what the footprint for that is going to look like. So that's moving forward. I'm very, very happy about that. The front of the library, progress is still being made. It's a little slow, and it's very hard for people to understand why we're not open when it looks like everything is done, except the railings are not done and we cannot open our stairs without railings, and actually going through inspection and passing that too. So yet again, we had somebody that came and they literally had to go under the caution tape to go down the ramp and knock on the front door. But no, you may not come in that way. So I've also let a few people in at my door on the back side of the library too, because I'll have people who are like pulling on my door and I'm like, hi.
That's creepy.
Oh, we thought. And I'm like, you can come through. You can. And then when you go upstairs, you can see how you can leave the library. So I don't know. You can put up signs and
they drove there
probably.
Yeah.
So, there's that.
Hopefully
sooner rather than later. Scanning of the newer graphics, that project. So we do have many of the graphics are being scanned. The earlier ones that are not in copyright are being done by the University of Oregon. We have some grant funding that they're using for that. And then we are setting up the room where we're going to have scanning, which is it's in the teen area. It's like a tiny little room that used to be the typewriter room when I was a kid. So that's going to start up again. That's exciting. There's that. We are getting new signage, not new signage. We are getting signage finally for the teen area. So that should be going up. I think probably by the end of the month that will be up. So when if you've seen the giant area that we've recently painted blue, looks really nice. And then there'll be giant letters that say teen in that area. So you'll be able to see that from far away. So it'll look good. And then Lewis Audio Video is going to start the installation of the new projector and AV equipment on, I think the 20th might be Monday. So that's a Monday, a Thursday, I believe, and then the following Monday as well. So there were only certain times they could work on the installation because the room is heavily used right now, especially for story times. So that's happening. So this will be the last meeting with the old equipment. Yay. I'm very excited about that. Any questions? All right. Library Friends. Library Friends their sales are down considerably for lobby because people are not coming in the front doors. So we talked about what would that look like if they had a sale cart upstairs. I think it would be confusing to people. So I don't know what we're going to do. I don't think we're going to move forward with that at all. But the good news is that they had some items come in as a donation that they were able to sell online that actually made up the difference with what they lost out on the lobby sales. So that's great. That was great news. So we're still, for September, they made the average amount that they made still, and then we'll see what happens with October. So yeah.
All right, moving on to unfinished business. Questions for Library Advisory Board interviews in November.
All right, and I've got those in your packet. I have the questions, and then I also have, on one side I have the notes from Cherie, and on the other side I have the notes from Julia, since I received both of those too.
And we're changing question 1 and question
Oh, question 1 and
6, right?
6, we thought we would, we were gonna
Switch.
swap.
Question 1 and,
Question
oh
7,
yes,
question
yep. Oh wait, I'm looking at the
Well,
the
1 and
student
7
one.
were kind of-
Yeah, let's start with the adult one first. Okay, so we were swapping 1 and 7. And then question 5, I'll move this out of the way. I put up on here so we could. So talk about that question. And then the next one I have is the one for student that we can talk about next. I can start with Cherie's statement, and then Julia, if you want to talk about yours.
Okay.
From Cherie, as Corey referenced, I won't be in attendance at the meeting next week. I've been thinking a lot about our discussion around the interview question, and I want to share my thoughts here via email since I won't be able to attend the meeting. I note please don't respond or carry on any further discussion via email, as I want to ensure we stay in compliance with Oregon Public Meeting Law. I appreciate the discussion during last month's meeting, as well as the opportunity to think about the potential changes to the interview question. It is my belief that we should keep the question as is or consider editing it as follows. The Newburgh Library is dedicated to providing a welcoming and inclusive environment. As identified in the library's strategic plan, the library strives to be a welcoming and accessible space that reflects the cultural diversity of the community it serves. Please tell us about a time when you advocated for diversity and inclusion in a workplace or in a group you took part in. The first sentence in the proposed revision comes straight from the library's landing page, and the second from the strategic plan. This question and these specific words are core values for any library that truly seeks to foster a love of reading, lifelong learning, and community connection, also from the landing page. As I said during the last month's meeting, I don't think we should shirk away from using language that represents what libraries are all about. Best of luck with the meeting and discussion. I know that each of you cares deeply about the library and our community, and I appreciate so much that I get to serve alongside you on the advisory board. All right.
And I submitted directly to Corey and didn't send it to the group because I didn't want to violate all those
Right.
meeting rules. When if I sent it there, I knew I was safe. I'd like to change the adult one to show how you would advocate for all our current and potential library patrons. Describe how you have done this. Sorry, my reading out loud skills aren't very good. To show how you would advocate for all our current and potential library patrons. Describe how you would have done this in your professional or personal activities. My rationale for this is that I see the heart of that question is really talking about advocacy for the library. And so how can you do that? Or how have you done that with other activities that you do? So I think that that meets the intent of the question and, or what was there, without crossing some lines that some of the folks in town don't particularly agree with, including myself. I believe in all of the concepts, but I don't, the words are a little hot buttonish. So advocacy is where I'm trying to go with that.
I think it covers the point. As you stated it. And I agree, a couple words do seem to put people off nowadays.
Looking at this question more, I have a hard time wrapping my head around how creating an inclusive environment for people is off-putting for a place like a library. And I do like the words cultural diversity of the community it serves, because that is in our strategic plan, and that is part of our library values, that we are making a place for everyone in the library. And that means whatever your different beliefs are, in the diversity of all of that, you are also going to find that at the library.
Well, and I think talking about advocating for all of our current and potential library patrons is equivalent. Because we have a diverse population. Advocating for all those folks who are already here and for any of the potential ones. You guys have great outreach programs that get little kids reading from all the different activities here in town. You reach out to the homeschoolers, you reach out to Fox, you reach out to the high schools and the junior high. So we're inculcating people early to the library is a great place to come for all of those things.
Is it the words diversity and inclusion
That are hot buttons for yes.
Yeah.
I don't disagree with the concept. I just disagree with using those words in particular at this time. But we can put it to a vote and see which one we like. I like Cherie's pulling the stuff from the strategic plan. I like her opening. But that last sentence is still what was already there, and that's what
any good synonyms?
well, that's why I went the way I did with, there aren't any great synonyms. But my mouth doesn't want it, so. It's really up to the quorum to decide which way they want to go.
I do agree with Julia that the advocacy part is important, that we want to make sure that the advocacy for the library is
The center
the
point.
center point. I'm wondering if the question though is talking about is the kind of Cherie goes back to is part of our strategic plan in making that clear. So is it not just saying you're advocating for the library, but you're advocating on this specific thing that is a part of the library's strategic plan, as well as what Corey said, I don't, as it being a core part of library's mission, values.
Please tell us about a time when you promoted advocating for others in a workplace or group that you took part in.
I wonder if a compromise might be in the keeping the strategic plan part in the beginning and then using Julia's sentence for the last sentence. Because we're still talking about
inclusion
and
diversity of
cultural
the actual
diversity.
library. Yes. I would accept that. Because I think citing the library's front page and then the strategic plan are perfectly valid, and those are documents that we have out there sitting there right now.
Mm-hmm.
agree with that.
Amanda, what are your thoughts on that?
I like that. I like Cherie's being able to describe why we would be asking this question. I think it's important that we make it known that it is a part of the library's strategic plan. I don't think that the way it's phrased needs to change. But I think that Cherie's, it's helpful to know that we're not just pulling it out of thin air, that it is part and is part of the library's strategic plan.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of like part A and part B would mesh together to make it.
I think that if there's an issue with the words, knowing that we have a foundation to stand on without it just being something that we're pulling out of thin air, that it is part of the library's strategic plan. I think that is helpful in leading up to it. But I don't think that we should be taking the words diversity and inclusion out of the question or the prompt.
So you want it to stand as Cherie has shown.
I think, yeah, I mean, I think that's
Then we can
Yeah.
take a vote.
Corey, you can't vote on it, but would you change it if you, what do you believe?
I really like the callback to the strategic plan because I think it is important to let people know that these are, well, some people might see these as hot button words right now. This has been part of our library mission for a long time. So I like the callback a lot to, this is why we're asking this question, is this is part of who, foundationally, this is part of who the library is.
And so then I guess I would challenge us as board members, if we are supposed to be advocates for the library and we want to honor the mission and strategic plan, that just keeping the question as is, or adopting Cherie's.
The first part of the question seems to cover the strategic plan. The only issues with the second line, really.
Well, the third sentence, because the first two sentences are directly from library documents.
So then one option is leave it as is. The second is to have where's our name tags?
Oh, I forgot those today. I'm sorry about that. I did. It's only our second
Yeah,
time with them and I
official
forgot. Now you're not
about it.
official.
Yeah.
Ah!
There it is.
Here's Tim. Here's Julia. Here's Amanda.
So yeah, I see our options is we keep it purely as is it's currently written as question 5. Option number 2 is we do the suggested language that Cherie provided. option number 3 is just my language, and option number 4 would be to take the first 2 lines from Cherie's and mine is the third line. I believe those are the 4 available choices.
Four
we
available
have.
choices.
What did you say as it, not core belief, what did you say that diversity inclusion is what to the library?
I think it's one of our foundations. I think it's a foundational part of the library. So I like that there's a call back to it as saying this is what is in our strategic plan, and this is why we are asking this question, because this is part of who the library is.
So I think I feel challenged with knowing, regardless of my own personal preferences, we are here to advocate for the library. And so regardless of personal agendas, we are here to kind of go back to that core of what it means to be an advocate for the library. So if it's a core foundation for the library and a part of the strategic plan, I don't see the purpose of changing it, especially if we're trying to get someone to say that they also will be an advocate for something that is a part of the foundation of the library.
And my feeling, both personal and in representing other folks in the community, is that as an advocate, I want to be inclusive and include cultural diversity, as we've already stated in the plan.
It's
But
not
the
just
question-
it's not just cultural diversity though. It's political diversity. It's diversity within an array of. It doesn't just mean culture. It doesn't just mean
Well, those are
culture.
words directed from our strategic plan, so that's what that says right there. I think that,
But diversity in so
but I don't think diversity, here it's defined as cultural diversity of our community, which can include political, it can
Yeah.
include the whole gamut.
oh yes, yeah. I when you said culture, I meant that I thought you were assuming it was just like two.
No, I'm looking at what the words were that we've already written in the past strategic plan. And I absolutely support that. I don't think that this question is well defined when we get down to diversity and inclusion. And that's why I think we should just advocate for the library, for its patrons, both now and those that we seek to have in the future.
But diversity and inclusion is part of the foundation of the library. So why would we
But
want?
it's not written in that way. It's written in separate pieces that talk about how we do things. I still think that this, for myself and for the folks that I talk to, that this is not necessarily useful language for the question. I suggest we put it to a vote.
So how many variations did we have, 4 or 5?
I think 4. We leave it as it's currently written in the questions, which is just
Alright,
that
okay.
last statement,
As is.
as is.
Okay.
2 would be what Cherie has proposed.
Okay.
3 would be what I had proposed. And 4 would be taking the first 2 sentences from Cherie and putting mine as the third sentence. Or the actual question.
Which one would you like?
Probably 2. Option number 2.
Cherie's?
And I would vote for 4.
Because it's been available.
So someone will need to make a
Motion.
motion, will need to be seconded, and then there's a period of discussion and then the vote.
I make a motion that we consider the 4 options we've just discussed. Because I don't want to propose just one, because then we have to go through, or do we have to go through each one?
I'm curious. I'm curious because we have 2 members missing. I haven't, Jessica didn't submit anything. And what if we don't or follow through on voting today? Would it make more sense to have the whole board present, seeing that we feel divided on it?
So my concern about that is that at the November meeting is when you all are doing the interviews. And as we discussed at the last meeting, I need to be able to give all of the candidates all of the questions ahead of time since it's public meeting. And if we didn't do that, then the first person would not have any idea about the questions. And then everybody to go after that went after that would know the questions, which doesn't feel fair.
It kind of sounds like they've given their, their feelings about it and made it known. It kind of like, now we have,
Yeah.
they've said their piece, so now everybody can kind
Do we
of take
take
it from
into,
there.
so my question is, do we take in consideration of that, or do we just,
I think ask people whoever's here.
So you can definitely take into consideration what's been submitted, but it doesn't count as a vote because that's only the people who are in the room, except for me. I don't
At least
count.
not today.
Just run the joint.
Just run the joint.
Your job is to keep us all in line.
But I do think the motion needs to say which of the questions we're voting for. So if we're not ready to make that motion yet and we still want to discuss the questions, then we should do that before there's a motion on the table. Because the motion needs to move us forward to the decision. Does that make sense?
well, I don't know if we can vote A, B, C. We either do vote yes or no, right?
Yeah, I
So-
think that there's a motion that needs to say specifically which one someone's wanting to vote for. And then when you call the vote, then that's when you see, if people agree with it or don't, and then you could move on to other ones so it might make sense to do more discussion before you do the motion to see if there's any kind of
I'm
clarity.
sad.
You're set.
I'm totally open to more discussion, don't get me wrong, but, at some point we just need to say, or, make a motion. You want to vote for one, yay, nay? Make a motion to yay, nay, or?
So are we going, I guess, going off of that, we have to phrase it in a way that we can vote yes or no and not like option A, B, or C. or D,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
We could
Yes.
go through each one.
So I
Very
don't,
good.
I'm actually not sure that you could do it like
Okay.
that. I think, so the motion on the table needs to be a yes or no vote. And then, and then there's three of you, so.
Well, for example, we would make a motion that says, I want to vote for only things that have library of things binders. And then we would say yay or nay. And if we all said nay, then would we have the option to move on to, oh, I want to vote for boxes?
Oh, yes, I see what you're talking about there. Yeah, that would work.
Okay, so we could just go down the list. Okay, but make it as a yes or no vote.
As long as it's a yes or vote, no, a yes or no vote, yes.
Well,
Blah,
then
blah,
that's confusing because then if like I could go for 2 or 3 on the options, right?
You
So am
could.
I voting yes for all 3 of the options and then, you know what I mean?
I think you'd have to say no to 1,
One.
3, and 4, and you're in favor of 2, yes. And
But if I would also be in favor of another,
yeah,
why would I
yeah,
vote no? That's like, right?
But yeah, you can only pick one.
Well, that seems, okay.
So, yeah,
So, okay.
Right?
I
Because
guess
it's like,
I was
you
thinking
know.
that there was a way you could say, anyway, never mind.
Because I like best, like, right, the one I would choose, okay,
Yeah, if you
I would
rank
choose
ordered
another
them.
one too,
Yeah, if
or,
you
you
rank
know,
ordered
then
your
the last
choices.
choice. So it's like,
So we
well,
couldn't vote for a rank ordered choice, or could we?
It was
Oh,
like
that
when-
hurts my brain.
Yeah,
Um,
I know,
Well,
I'm just
when we
saying.
gave scores to,
The candidate.
So do we
the
want to score it
candidates,
first?
we did it the same.
so that was a tool to get you to the motion of saying we make a motion to submit this name to the mayor for appointment, right?
Mhm.
So you could absolutely use some kind of a scoring system between you
1
to
through
get you
4,
closer to the motion, right? Like
Yeah.
that's where you could use that as a tool.
1 is Keep, 2 is Cherie, 3 is Julia's, 4 is a mix of Cherie's and Julia's.
Correct.
Okay,
Or I.
so
I
then
agree,
we
that's
would,
what
we
said.
would vote. Okay.
So you could do a non-official vote if you wanted,
Okay,
you could do it
Right
that
now we could
way.
just do
Yeah,
a-
you can talk, use that as a tool and discuss that before making a motion.
Do you want to score it?
Yeah, I will. Absolutely. There's some paper. Okay.
This is a private, I mean, we don't need a privately score. Do you just want to tell what our numbers are? Or do you want to hand it to you?
How do you guys want to do it? I don't
It's
care.
It's gonna be a record anyway, so
yeah, it's on the video,
Yeah.
No, I
so
mean-
it's there.
I understand what you're saying, and appreciate that, but as far as, doing a paper ballot or something at some point where,
Yeah, no, I'm fine
It's
either
all
way.
good.
I just
Okay.
was asking Corey, like, what does she, do we say it out loud or does she want us to pass it to her? I don't, okay.
Okay, so I just want
It's
to,
recorded.
so I've got 1 is keeping it as it is, 2 is Cherie's, 3 is Julia's, and 4 is the hybrid.
Yes.
Okay.
So we're
Sorry.
adding the first one first. So I gave it a 3.
I give it a 1.
give it a 1.
And then Cherie's, I gave it a 4. Or we're moving to the next one?
So Cherie's,
Yeah,
Yep.
4.
2.
I'm gonna say 2.5.
oh,
sorry.
don't you
Two.
dare bring out the 0.5s right now.
Well, you're rank ordering them. 1, 2, 3, 4,
2.
5. There's no halves.
Thank you. All right, Julia's question.
3.
Oh, 1.
3,
And then a mix
And then the
of Cherie's
hybrid.
and Julia's.
4.
4.
2.
Math skills leave something to be desired at this time of night, but the hybrid takes it with 10. So the hybrid is at 10, Cherie's is 8, Julia's is 7, and the first one is the first iteration is 5.
So now we could make a motion on voting on 4.
Sure.
Yeah or nay?
I make a motion to take the first 2 sentences of Cherie's proposal is my question, and add Julia's question.
No, describe how you would do that. That is the question.
May I read?
Yeah, let's
May I
just
read it?
Yeah.
Or would you like to read
I
it?
will read it.
Okay.
Yeah. The Newburgh Library is dedicated to providing a welcoming and inclusive environment. As identified in the library's strategic plan, the library strives to be a welcoming and accessible space that reflects the cultural diversity of the community it serves. To show how you would advocate for all our current and potential library patrons, describe how you have done this in your professional or personal activities. So I make a motion to accept that as question 5 on the interview questions for the Adult Library Advisory Board.
I second that motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Nay. Me.
That was Amanda opposed
Yes.
for the sake of the AI that's writing the notes. Yes.
Okay, when we're moving on to the student questions.
All I did with the student question,
Can I make a
Was,
motion and then vote nay?
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry. I'll just go ahead.
okay, you can make a motion and vote no. On the student one, all I did was cross out the first sentence of the, question 5 and left, how would you reach a decision including perspectives different than your own? I believe that on the student questions, we covered things in a slightly different manner than we have in the adult questions. So here it's really, how do you deal with different perspectives?
And I think it does need to be geared for a different age, obviously.
Right, we're trying to get, what,
Yeah.
9 through 12? Can Fox students apply for that?
Yes, they could apply for that, or community, like Portland Community College students, or as long as you have somebody who's in the community who is a student too. So, I mean, I guess you don't have to be limited by age of a student either. It's just that we're looking for
Primarily a student.
primarily a younger student opinion.
Although I put Cherie's first 2
I
sentences
was
on the
going to
top of
say
that too.
Yeah.
Because I think those are good sentences or good things to bring up.
Yeah.
Okay, so the Newburgh Library is dedicated to providing a welcoming, inclusive environment as identified in the library's strategic plan. The library strives to be a welcoming and accessible space that reflects the cultural diversity of the community it serves. How would you reach the decision that included perspectives and perspectives different from your own?
Agreed.
Okay. I make a motion to change question 5 on the student commissioner interview questions to the library. The Newburgh, do you want me to read it again? The Newburgh Library is dedicated to providing a welcoming and inclusive environment as identified in the library's strategic plan. The library strives to be a welcoming and accessible space that reflects the cultural diversity of the community it serves. How would you reach a decision that included perspectives different from your own? All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Nay.
All right.
All right, moving on to the surveillance policy update.
Surveillance policy update. I don't have a slide for this one, so sorry about that. But here's what happened with the surveillance policy. So you've seen the surveillance policy before. It's not new. And you voted for it, you approved it, and then I took it to City Council, and City Council had some questions about some wording. Councilor Derek Carmen brought up some specific questions with access for law enforcement to cameras. So he asked that I go back and talk with the city attorney as well as the police chief about making some changes for this. So we've had some good discussions, and then this is the changes that have been made. So a couple of important things that to note, I think, is that the changes in here under the request for video part specifically, in response to a search warrant, subpoena, or court order delivered to the city by an external entity, the library director or library supervisory staff will review and determine eligibility for release in consultation with legal representation. So, and so that language specifically means that the Newburgh Police Department would have access to the video surveillance of the library without needing a warrant or a subpoena.
Is that because they're part of the city and we're part of the city?
Yes. So I think it's important to note that they already have access to it. They literally have the view of it in the department. So because we're all the same entity, it didn't make sense. It didn't make sense to, I don't know, it seemed once we kind of got into the bones of it too, it didn't really make sense to say that they would also have to have a warrant or a subpoena when they do not in fact have to have a warrant or a subpoena. They literally have the video footage already. So so we have surveillance at the library, but we also don't have, like, you are not able to see from the cameras what somebody is checking out. So that is still maintained within a patron privacy. So I don't feel, as a public space, I think that the surveillance in the library, it falls under reasonable expectations, because you're not, like, if I'm carrying a book in the library, even, like, you can't see, our video footage isn't that good. It's, the surveillance isn't going to be able to
It's not
see.
an interstate kind of surveillance?
Right. It is not. Yeah, it actually is surprisingly good, and also, like, not, it's good enough. How's that?
That just kind of cleans it up.
So it cleaned it up, but it also meant that if we had a warrant or a subpoena from, I don't know, outside, some kind of outside entity, it
The
also
state
means that
police or
there's
something.
that there is a pause to say, well, let's talk to the city attorney about this and make sure we're following the law, as well as following, ORS 192.355, which is information protected from disclosure for libraries too. So I have zero problems with how all of this came out. I think it was, just cleaning up and making maybe more transparent how things are already working, while also still providing protections. And, if there's a requested video, one of my concerns is that somebody from the public might say, I'd like to see all the video footage from the library. Well,
Where's your need to know?
we'll lie. Like, I don't know why you would do that, but also, who knows, right? So they still have to follow public records request law, just like any other.
So I can submit a public record
Yes.
request that says I'd like all the video footage from yesterday.
Yes, you
And
could.
somebody would evaluate that.
Somebody
and
would
tell me
evaluate that.
whether or not I could have it.
And what would happen is that if there was anything that it wasn't, a reasonable expectation of privacy, then that part would have to be edited out. And then the city recorder would say, with staff time, this is how much you would need to pay for staff time in order for us to go forward with this public records request. And then you would decide if that was something that you were still willing to do or not. So that's kind of where we landed on that. Are there questions about that?
I'm just wondering if we could put signs around the library are posted instead of will be.
Oh, yeah.
Since
They have been.
And then maybe can we just delete one of these lines right here, so then it all can just be on one page? Or-
Even when I did that, I couldn't get it to fit on one page.
Okay.
And so I left it. Here's why I did this. Because at first I had the very last paragraph on the very back, but then nobody was looking for it and they missed it.
Oh,
What
So-
about-
So that's why I just started it back here.
Okay.
Do you want me to, you know what, Amanda, I can absolutely tighten this up enough to put it on one page.
Not on one page. Okay.
I will do one
That's
page.
my only thing.
One page for Amanda.
But yeah, I get your point, why you had it end in the middle of the
Split
sentence.
it
Yeah,
up.
Make it-
to make you know that there is more there for you. And I do think the city recorder public records request portion is an extremely important part of this surveillance policy as well.
Right.
So,
As with any FOIA request.
yes.
Do you need to
Yeah.
make a motion?
So yes, please.
I make a motion to accept the surveillance policy with the one edit to change will be to R.
I second that motion.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
Motion passes. Thank you.
Moving on to new business.
Moving on to new business. Library resource of the month. So this is really funny to me because I didn't realize I forgot that I put Northwest Digital Heritage down because what I planned on doing was showing you some of the games that we have at the library. So how about if I leave the digital heritage for next month? I'll do that for November instead. Sorry about that. So the resource of the month is in fact the enormous number of games that we have for checkout at the Newburgh Public Library. And I brought a couple of them for you to see. I brought the little, thank you, the little DVD cases. So this is what is shelved upstairs for people to see. There's nothing inside. We just had found that when we had the games themselves on the shelves, little fingers were kind of getting into them a bit much. And then pieces were going missing. And then we couldn't say, because we do check all of the pieces when they come back in. That's something that staff does. But when they were sitting out on the shelf, then we weren't able to say that they didn't get messed with between the time that we checked them and the time they got checked out. So it's been working really well. We have all the games and everything for Library of Things is held behind the counter at the circulation desk. So people go directly to the circulation desk to check out those items. I've had so many people tell me that, first of all, it's just fun to have a different variety of games. Mantis I brought because that's one of my family's favorite games
From
to
the
play.
creators of Exploding Kittens.
Yes, I do think Exploding Kittens is pretty fun too. I enjoyed that one. But Mantis is one that we really enjoy. And also oftentimes people will try out games and then they'll end up buying the ones that they really like. So it's kind of a nice way to, test run it, right? So yeah. And we have some of the, the really popular games that you would expect to see really anywhere. And then we have some kind of niche things that I think are fun too. So that's my resource. And then as far as the Newburgh Area Historical Society dissolution, we were going to meet and before this meeting and we had to cancel it and reschedule. So I was notified by the Newburgh Area Historical Society that they feel it's run its course for now. And so they are looking to talk to the library about some funding that they still have, moving that into a grant for the library, as well as they don't have a lot of items, but they do have some items that we could add to our local history collection. So we'll be talking about what that might look like. I haven't talked to them about this yet, but any funding I would really like to move into the scanning of the Newburgh graphics through the University of Oregon. I think that would be a great use of whatever. I have zero idea what kind of funds we're talking about. I don't know if we're talking about $50 or what. So, but that seems to me a good use to put that towards. So
Yeah.
I'll have more for
So
you.
do they
hopefully
have a
next
lot
month.
of papers and stuff that you would get, or is there?
I
you
don't-
even know what they have really.
I don't think that there's actually a lot that they do have.
Oh, okay.
So we'll have to kind of see. But I do have, some of I have the documents from the from Parrot Mountain, from the Crystal Riley Park. I have those at the annex too, and those are waiting for us to have a chance to go through. So there is a place I can put those as well. There's quite a few documents. And then maybe sometime, who knows, it'd be great for Newburgh to have a museum someday too, a historical museum. So we'll see. Until then, maybe that's just the library. Any questions for me? That, okay.
All right, next meeting is November 20th, 5 p.m. board meeting, and then we will start interviews at 6.
Right, and Rachel will be closing the applications. I think she said, to get a calendar, I think she said November 2nd.
Have we received any this far?
I actually have no idea. So we'll get that out in our library newsletter, and we'll I think we'll do a special e-newsletter about that. Let's see. Yes, November 1st is a Saturday, so she'll close that down on this 2nd and then send me whatever she has on the 3rd. So just like we've done before, anybody who qualifies, which means they do have to live within, well, they don't have to live within the city limits of Newburgh, because we also have Cherie's position for outside of the city limits is also open. So while they
Did we
do have to
determine
meet the
whether or not we could just renominate Sheree?
we cannot.
Okay.
So because it says in our bylaws that we will interview people, then we have to follow, even though we have interviewed her. If the language was a little different for us, we could have done something different, but it's not. So we have to.
Did she know?
I think I have not told her yet. So
Corey,
I think
Tell her before it
I
expires.
know, I think I just maybe forgot because didn't want to tell her. So
Yeah.
I should make myself a note of tell Cherie she has to interview. Yeah. Of Corey saying what?
You give me the
Yeah,
announcer.
you have to tell her.
Oh, I already knew I did.
Comes with the territory.
Yeah, it does come with the territory. So,
Cool.
all right.
Okay, meeting adjourned.
And it is
7:01.
7:01 p.m.